No one tells you that silence can be punished. You can sit in the right place, keep your head down, cause no trouble, and still, people will resent you for it. Naomi Greene didn't come to make friends. She didn't smile at lunch. She didn't borrow pens or make casual conversation. At Milbrook High, that was enough to make you a question mark with legs. Here, you're not measured by your grades. You're measured by how much space you take up. Speak too much, they watch you. Speak too little, they fear you. Naomi was the kind of student a hallway would swallow whole if you didn't look closely. No makeup, no noise, but she always knew who passed behind her, who whispered just loud enough to hurt, and who hid contempt inside polite smiles. She didn't need to be liked, she just needed not to be touched. But in a place where normal is written in the voice of the majority, silence becomes the most dangerous accent. No one knew Naomi was taking notes, not to accuse but to document, in a language no one was taught but everyone needed to learn. And when the first locker appeared with a strange symbol, nobody thought a story was being written. By those who had once learned to survive by staying silent. Before we dive into this story, let us know where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe because the next story is one you don't want to miss. The school bus wheezed like an old beast gasping for air. Each time it braked, it screeched with a sharp scree, followed by the dull thuds of backpacks, books, and discarded dreams shifting on the floor. Naomi sat by the window, back row. The floor shook beneath her with every pothole. She couldn't see outside, just mist and glass smudged with fingerprints that didn't belong to her. No one sat beside her. No one asked her name. Grayford High appeared through the fog like a courthouse. Red bricks, steel doors. The American flag flapped as if unsure whether it should bother. Below it, a banner read Honor, Integrity, Excellence, hanging loose like a stage prop in a play no one's watching. Naomi stepped off the bus. Her soles clicked against the wet stone. Clack, clack, clack. Nobody waited for her. The bus door closed behind with a tight thunk. Nobody called her back. The front office smelled like floor polish and slow printers. A receptionist with powdered cheeks and too many rings smiled. Not at her face, but at her name tag. You must be Naomi. Naomi nodded. Well then, welcome to Grayford. Her voice was light, but her eyes were locked. Welcome meant, don't make trouble. The printer hummed, buzzed, then clicked. Her schedule, locker slip, school map. Naomi took them all. Said nothing, stuffed them into the side pocket of her backpack, where papers went to disappear. First period U.S. history. Mr. Holloway didn't pause when she entered. He pointed to a chair like air traffic control. She sat, no one said hello. A boy in front turned, gave her a 1-second glance, decided she wasn't worth copying from, then faced forward again. His chair creaked. Eek. Naomi said nothing. Not from fear, she was listening. Every sound, every stare, every pause, logged. In her jacket pocket a red notebook, no label, no regular letters. Inside Cipher 9, a language she invented. Each symbol a silent recording of a world pretending to be fair. Lunchtime. The cafeteria sounded like a market. Plastic trays clattered, chairs scraped, squeak. The smell of cold pizza and old sauce hung like fog. Naomi scanned the room. The center tables were territory, belonging to kids with matching shoes and matching voices. She chose a table near the emergency exit. Her plastic chair groaned as she sat. A group of boys across the room watched. One nudged the other. One smirked. The sound they made wasn't loud, but it cracked the air like a whisper with teeth. She didn't look back, just pulled out her pen. wrote in the cipher 1307, observation, exclusion geometry intact, laughter never reaches my seat. Midday, a girl named Emma, blonde, pink jacket, too cheerful, blurted out aloud hi in the hallway, like a fire drill disguised as a person. Naomi nodded. Short, precise, Emma never said hi again. 3:45 p.m. The final bell rang. Ring, like a wake-up call no one answered. Naomi walked out. She hadn't spoken a full sentence. No one had called her name. She hadn't smiled. On the ride home, the bus wheezed again. The tires bumped, thud, over loose gravel. Naomi opened her notebook, pen to paper. A soft shk, like a tired breath. She wrote day 1. Observation initiated. Resistance not yet required, but documented. Behind her, someone laughed at a meme on their phone. Naomi didn't turn. She didn't have to. Some things always repeat. The setting changes. The code stays true. Tuesday morning. A light rain fell not enough to soak her sleeves, just enough to make everything stick and sting. Naomi stepped into the school building. Her damp soles tapped against the tiled floor. Tap, tap, tap. Outside. Her black umbrella folded shut with a soft whoosh. Water dripped plop plop into a trash can by the door. No one looked, but she knew they heard. Inside the classroom, eyes brushed past her like needles skimming skin, not deep, but sharp. Her literature teacher, Miss Morton, wore ash-blonde hair and an expression like old chalk. She called names in a flat voice, pausing just slightly on Naomi's. She didn't say it wrong, just said it like it didn't matter. Today, we're discussing symbols in American literature, Miss Morton said. Her voice was dry, like the air above a heat vent. Anyone have an example? A boy raised his hand and grinned, the gun in of Mice and Men. A few students chuckled. Very good, the teacher replied. No one mentioned who held the gun. Naomi opened her notebook beneath the desk. Her pen scratched quietly. Lit class, symbol power is assigned. Not asked, no one asks the black girl. After class, she ran into a smile. Emma, still loud, still too blonde and too quick. Naomi, your hair is gorgeous. I wish mine curled like that. The compliment came wrapped in a giggle short, tight, a little too polished. Naomi nodded, said nothing. Emma's smile was the kind that never landed. It floated in the air, hovered like mist, then popped unfelt, unreturned. At the far end of the hallway, 3 boys leaned against their lockers, all in gray hoodies. One nodded toward Naomi. Another raised his eyebrows. The third mimed a fake grab for a purse. Their laughter wasn't loud, but it carried like a paper cut, thin, invisible, but enough to sting. Naomi kept walking. The sound of her shoes scritch, scrape. Scritch filled the space no one else would. Lunch came late. The cafeteria reeked of cold grease and cheap ketchup. She chose the far corner again. Back to the room, face to the wall. Her chair creaked as she sat. Her tray landed with a clack. On the wall in front of her, someone had written in black marker. White plus black, equal sign gray. A joke, a math problem, a child's idea of irony. Naomi stared at it, didn't flinch. She opened her notebook, wrote. A game for kids who've never been trained in silence. Prejudice doesn't need bold letters. Give it time, and it grows roots inside jokes. As she stood to leave, a voice called behind her. Hey Naomi, you forgot your milk, Emma, again. Holding a small carton, a smile ready like a party favor. Naomi turned, walked toward her. Didn't take the milk, just looked at her. I was just trying to be nice, Emma murmured. Naomi spoke for the first time that day. I don't need nice, I need real. Her voice wasn't loud, but it dropped into the hallway like a stone into still water. She turned away. Her steps echoed clack, clack, clack down the corridor. Emma stood frozen, still holding the milk, still smiling. Only now, the smile had nowhere to go. The cafeteria had no doors, but it had borders. No one drew them. They existed in glances, in laughter, in trays set down like flags claiming territory. Naomi walked in. Her footsteps tapped softly on the tile. Clack, clack, clack. The clock read 12:17. Lunch had passed its peak, chairs scraped, trays clacked. The smell of old meat still hung in the air like something that didn't know it was over. Every table was a country. To the left, the band kids, wearing lopsided earbuds and black-inked fingers, speaking more with eyebrows than mouths. To the right, pastel hoodie girls with fast laughs, ha ha ha, like claps without hands. Naomi returned to her usual spot, the last table by the window. The window didn't open. But there, she could see both sides and belonged to neither. She sat. The chair gave a small creak as if it disapproved. A group of boys 2 tables away, all in gray hoodies, all in sync, noticed. One turned around, just for a second, just long enough to smirk. Minutes later, 2 of them stood up. They walked her way, trays in hand, but not for eating. They didn't sit, just hovered near her like fog. One tapped his fingers on her table. Tap, tap, then said, "Is eating alone fun?" His tone was soft, but not kind, just soft enough to make her lean in. Naomi didn't reply. She picked up a cold French fry, bit, chewed. The sound was like a ticking clock. "My friend says you know karate," the other one added. "But I think you're just good at staying quiet." Naomi looked up, no smile, no nod, just a stare, dull, steady, like a blunt knife pressed to the skin. They laughed, not loud, just enough to hear themselves laugh. When they left, Naomi quietly opened her red notebook. Her pen whispered over the page, "Scratch, scratch. 12:24 p.m. Direct probing. Location back corner. Table 4, intent reaction. Result no engagement. Note fake laughter as a warning sign." When the bell rang, brrring, she stood, walked out, no rush, no glance back. In the hallway, someone whispered, "That girl's kinda weird." Another voice answered, "Maybe she's, recording us." Naomi heard it, not with her ears, but with the instinct of someone used to listening in the margins. She didn't flinch, just kept walking. Each step a whisper, "I'm still here, I'm still writing, and you're all being documented, line by line." Wednesday. The sky didn't rain, but the air felt like someone had sighed long and heavy over the whole street. Naomi was summoned during 3rd period. A folded slip, faintly printed. "See Miss Rivers, 10:20 a.m. She walked down the east wing hallway. There. The walls were faded blue. The counselor's door was half open. Its hinge gave a soft creak as she pushed it. "You're Naomi, right?" Miss Rivers spoke in a practiced voice, soft, high, measured. Naomi nodded, sat on the faux leather chair. It squeaked, "Read." On the desk, a fake plant, a glass of water filled exactly 3/4, and a manila folder labeled Green N. "Just wanted to check in. How are you doing?" Naomi didn't answer right away. Miss Rivers waited, still smiling. "Some teachers mentioned you've been a bit distant." Silence. Outside, the period bell rang ding-ding, pressing the room to move forward. Naomi looked up, direct, not sharp. I'm just observing. The reply made Miss Rivers blink, but the smile snapped back on like a reflex. That's good. Observation is important. But sometimes people need you to engage a little. Naomi tilted her head. So, it's easier for them. Miss Rivers paused a beat. Not exactly, but, we're a community, and we want everyone to feel like they belong. Naomi opened her notebook. She didn't hide it. Her pen moved, scratch, scratch. The sound filled the silence like a clock ticking in a room with no time. Room 207, smells like old AC. No clock, voice neutral barrier. Note belonging requires gradual disappearance. Miss Rivers glanced down. What are you writing? History, Naomi replied. Her voice flat. No accent, no edge. Miss Rivers started to speak again, then stopped. Offered another smile, the kind taught in seminars labeled equity and inclusion. All right, you can head back to class. Thank you, Naomi stood. The chair squeaked again. Read. At the door. She paused. Turned. Do you ever wonder how many people stay silent? Not because they have nothing to say, but because no one ever really listens. Miss Rivers froze just for a second. She didn't answer. Naomi closed the door gently behind her. The hinge made a soft click, sharp enough to end a conversation that was never real. The bell rang at 1:10, not urgent, not rushed, just a programmed ding-ding reminding everyone that some endings weren't endings at all, just resets in a system nobody questioned. Naomi stepped out of math class, notebook in hand, eyes aimed at the hallway's end. No one touched her. But she always felt slightly pushed by glances, by distant laughter, by the invisible radius people kept around her. The hallway floor gleamed too much, too polished, too deliberate. It made the school look sanitized, but not clean. A window to her left mirrored Naomi back, not her face, just motion, like she was passing through herself. And then it happened. The squeak of sneakers, faster than usual. A breath held behind her neck. Then, a shove, not brutal, but calculated. She hit the floor. No scream, just sound. Her back thudded thump against the tile. Her head knocked the locker clack, not enough to bleed, but enough to sting. The notebook flew from her hand, pages flaring like a bird with one wing clipped. A voice followed male. Smooth, too smooth. Oh, sorry, didn't see you there. No laughter erupted, just a few dry hays like they were laughing out of obligation. A phone screen lit up. Recording. Naomi didn't move. She sat up, slow, picked up her notebook now, scuffed, torn, one corner smudged with shoe dirt and hallway dust. A brown-haired girl stood 3 steps away, watching Naomi like a fender bender, not serious enough to report, not casual enough to ignore. A teacher passed by, didn't stop, didn't ask, just walked with the kind of glance professionals practice, quick, neutral, and gone. Naomi stood, didn't brush herself off, didn't fix her skirt. She left everything as is, evidence. The hallway dipped into a silence not awkward, but trained. Everyone knew what had happened, but it wasn't big enough to matter. A black girl falling in a hallway. Not news, just part of the architecture. At home, Naomi stepped into her room, didn't turn on the lights, didn't open the window. She sat at her desk. Sunlight slipped through the blinds, carving the surface like a blade of light across an autopsy table. She reached for her second notebook, the one with no name. No lines, just a private system of survival. She turned to a clean page, wrote, pen sliding, shh, shh, across paper, like the breath of something caged too long. 1313, physical contact, 3 individuals, video recording likely, apology insincere. No intervention by bystanders. Physical damage minimal. Psychological impact alert triggered. Naomi paused. Her breath slowed. Light hit her hand. It was trembling slightly, not from fear, but from rage, with nowhere to go. She added one more line at the bottom. They think I'm silent because I'm weak, but I'm writing a history they were never taught. She closed the notebook. No sound, no soundtrack, just the low hum of the AC, as if it, too, had agreed to keep her secrets. The room returned to its most familiar state, wordless, soundless, but far from quiet. This silence wasn't emptiness, it was weaponry. It was a siren set to slow, and one day someone was going to hear it. Monday morning. The sky was heavy with low clouds, the kind that made everything feel watched. Not by people, but by something nameless, faceless, just a spiritual weight hanging in the air. Third period, U.S. History. Mr. Holloway entered with a thick folder of assignments. He sat down quietly, not looking at anyone, just nodded, as if he too was carrying some invisible burden. Last week I assigned an essay, Freedom and Responsibility in Modern American Society. 500 words. I expect seriousness. His voice was dry, but not harsh, the tone of someone who had long accepted that the world rarely matched the ideals he taught. Naomi sat in the back row, holding a thin white envelope, unsealed, inside a single sheet. No words, just symbols curved, broken, skewed lines. Her code. Recess, Naomi was called in. The teacher's lounge. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Coffee stains on tables. The distant sound of a printer grinding out page after page. Mr. Holloway sat behind his desk, her essay laid out in front of him. He wasn't angry, not surprised, just looking like someone facing a math problem with no numbers. Greene, no Miss, or Naomi. Just the surname, like he was naming a phenomenon. What is this? Naomi stood tall, didn't flinch. It's my perspective. On your prompt. I don't understand it. Correct, it wasn't made for you to understand. The sentence dropped into the room like a pebble into still water, a small ripple. But deep. Mr. Holloway held up the page, tilting it under the fluorescent light. So, freedom is the right to write things others can't read. Naomi nodded. And responsibility is the courage to let them not understand. Silence lingered. Then he spoke slower. I could give you a 0, but I know this isn't just an essay, this is an act. Naomi allowed herself the softest smile, the first of the day. Then how will you grade an act? He didn't answer. Didn't need to. The next week, something shifted in the school's atmosphere. A copy of Naomi's essay appeared taped behind the student club board. No one knew who posted it. Then another appeared inside the gym trophy case. Then one more laminated, discreetly tucked behind the third-floor vending machine. No names, no explanations. No one took them down. At first, students scoffed. What even is this? Who's doodling weird stuff now? Probably that quiet group, the weirdos. But then, curiosity grew. Some students began taking pictures, posting them online. A few tried tracing the symbols. One girl in art class recreated them in white chalk on a black canvas. A brown-skinned boy in geography submitted a map of the U.S. Not with states, not with borders, just her cipher swirls, hooks, and broken shapes forming a nation. His teacher scolded him, but the map went viral. One day, Naomi opened her locker. Inside was a small note, no name, written in her own code. The grammar wasn't perfect, but someone had studied, had tried. She translated it later. I see you. She didn't know who sent it, didn't need to. That afternoon, Naomi opened her notebook and wrote, when someone begins to speak your language not fluently, not fully just enough to try, you've been seen, even if only partially. Tuesday morning, the hallways felt different, not empty, not silent, but still. Not the kind of stillness that means nothing is happening, the kind that means something already has. Naomi sensed it the moment she stepped inside. No one said anything. No one pointed. But students weren't walking with the same floaty indifference. They were looking, slowing. Not at her, not directly. At the lockers. At the small, nearly invisible slips of paper taped beside them. No titles, no names, just symbols, a broken slash crossing an open circle, a lone dot hovering apart, the kind of marks you wouldn't notice unless you'd seen them before. Naomi had they were hers, or they had been. She walked past locker 215, then 221, then 233, each with a new symbol. The strokes weren't hers, different pressure, different rhythm. But the grammar of silence was the same. Behind the theater club board, someone had scrawled a long sequence in shaky black marker. Near the back exit, another set had been chalked onto brick and lightly smudged just enough to be read by someone who already knew how to read. Students didn't stop to stare. They just walked slower, eyes sharper, breaths shallower. During second period, Naomi sat 2 rows ahead of a soft-voiced black girl she didn't know well. The girl leaned forward and whispered, "Those symbols, they're yours, right?" Naomi didn't turn around, just nodded once. "I think I get some of them," the girl added, even softer. "The one on locker 217, it feels like it says, 'Don't trust every laugh.'" Naomi tilted her head slightly. "You're not wrong." The girl let out a small breath. Not relief, something older. Like permission to exhale for the first time in weeks. At lunch, Naomi walked to the third-floor hallway quiet, rarely patrolled. She paused at one new symbol taped to a locker. It was wrong miswritten, but sincere. She pulled out her pen. On the bottom corner of the paper, she wrote in small, precise strokes. "Careful, camera in the upper right ceiling panel." Then she retaped it. Clean, quiet. No one saw, or, if they did, they pretended not to. The next day, Naomi opened her locker to find a notebook. Gray cover, no name. Inside blank pages except for the first "on" it, in shaky but familiar code. "We're listening. We're learning. We will write." Below that, 3 words written in slanted English. "Don't stop now." Naomi stared at the message. Didn't smile, didn't cry, but in her eyes a small flame flickered. The kind that fits in a closed hand, but never goes out. By the following week, the system had a name. No one spoke it, but they all used it. Students passed photocopied cipher keys and folded lunch napkins. Some taped symbols to their water bottles. Others printed them as stickers on their laptops or shoes. No one explained. No one recorded. There were no TikToks, no hashtags, just ink, paper, and trust. The administration noticed. An emergency faculty meeting was held, key phrases included. Unidentifiable content, organized sub-messaging, no clear leadership, no viable point of intervention. One teacher, tired and honest, finally said, "We're being spoken to, and we don't have the language to answer." That night, Naomi wrote in her red notebook, Every locker is a signal tower. Every quiet student is a frequency. I don't need a microphone. I need resonance. Thursday. The sun was out, sharp and unapologetic as if nothing unjust had ever happened under it. Naomi sat in the far corner of the library, where the lights dimmed before noon, where silence wasn't just a rule, it was the atmosphere. In front of her lay a textbook on American history, published in 2004. The civil rights movement got 3 pages, tucked neatly between post-war economic growth and the rise of technology. She wasn't studying, she was documenting the omissions. A chair scraped softly beside her, slow, hesitant. Then a breath. Emma. She wore a cream-colored sweater. Her hair was tied to the side. In her hand was a notebook, not a school one, but the kind used when someone needed to say something real. Can I sit here for a bit? Naomi didn't look up. She nodded. A nod without invitation, but also without refusal. Emma sat, placed her notebook on the table like it weighed more than it should. After a long pause, she spoke, voice barely a whisper. I know you probably think I'm the kind of person who always smiles at the right time, says nice things just to seem good. Naomi didn't respond. She turned a page, the sound of paper scritching an invitation to continue, or a quiet test. Emma inhaled. Then, I saw the video, the day you were pushed. She rushed on. Someone posted it in the class group chat. Before it got deleted, they laughed, they made memes, edited your voice. Her voice broke, not from pity, but from the realization that she had benefited from silence she didn't even know she was standing in. Naomi paused. Her pencil stopped mid-line. Still not looking at Emma. What did you do when you saw it? The question was small, but it echoed like a dropped pin in a glass room. Emma swallowed. I laughed, a little. At first, I don't even know why, and then I just went quiet. I felt sick. Naomi finally looked at her. Because you realize the hand that hit me didn't belong to just one boy. Emma flinched, didn't deny it. Her eyes glistened. Her lips trembled. I thought I was a good person, but I did nothing. Silence. Naomi exhaled, slow. Good people aren't measured by intentions. They're measured by what they do when silence becomes convenient. Emma reached into her notebook and slid a piece of paper across the table. On it, a line of code. Shaky, incomplete, but undeniably earnest. Naomi read it, the translation. I'm learning to listen. She didn't smile, she didn't speak. She folded the paper, tucked it into her cipher notebook like a letter that needed no reply, but deserved to be kept. Then she wrote, Change doesn't start with shouting. It begins when someone who's always been silent starts whispering the truth. Monday, 3:45 p.m. When the final bell rang, the hallways flooded with students noisy, hurried, alive. Naomi walked the opposite way, up, quiet, against the current. She wasn't going home. She had been summoned, called into the administrative floor. The boardroom, a place students rarely saw unless they'd done something serious. This floor didn't echo laughter, just the click of heels, the low hum of a copier, the soft whistle of air conditioning filtering through glass too thick for light to mean anything. Naomi entered. The door clicked shut behind her. Ch-tuck, cold, sealed. The room was wide, deliberate, not too bright, not too dim, just enough to make you feel like someone was always watching. A long mahogany table stretched across the middle. Black leather chairs circled it like guards. Awards and certificates hung crookedly on the wall. The clock ticked wrong. Even time felt like it was negotiating with the institution. 7 adults faced her. 3 men, 4 women. Some were reading files, others just pretending to. Each folder had her name Naomi Greene bold, center aligned, as if identity came font-wrapped. The assistant superintendent began, his tie too red, voice too smooth. "Miss Greene, thank you for coming. We've called this meeting to discuss a recent series of events involving your presence on campus." He paused, not for breath, but to strategically select language that wouldn't admit accusation. A silver-haired teacher continued. "Symbols have been appearing across school property, unlabeled, unclaimed, but undeniably disruptive." Naomi stood, didn't sit, hands steady on her notebook. She scanned the room. Not in defiance, but as someone claiming their right to witness who gets to decide what's normal. "Are you aware of what we're referring to?" a man asked, his voice like a printed sheet, flat, exact, and indifferent. Naomi opened her notebook, didn't read, just glanced at a page. "I write, some read, some write back. Is it organized? I didn't organize anything. Then who started it?" The better question is, why did anyone feel the need to write in silence in the first place? No immediate answer. Not because they agreed, but because they weren't prepared to argue with someone who fought in a language they didn't speak. The principal, quiet until now, leaned forward, voice soft, the kind of soft used to maintain control. "Naomi, we know you're a strong student, but please understand, the school isn't against you. We're simply trying to maintain a safe, transparent environment for all." Naomi lifted her gaze. Her voice was soft too, but not the kind meant to appease. "If safety only exists when I'm silent, then it's not a school. It's a training ground for compliance." A member of the board shifted uncomfortably. Another closed her folder. "You're spreading a language no one understands." Someone said, "That doesn't make it meaningless." Naomi replied. The air got heavy, like a courtroom before a verdict, only no one dared call it what it was. Naomi placed a printed page on the table, a long string of ciphered symbols, formatted like poetry. No heading, no footnote, no explanation. The principal picked it up, brows furrowed. Naomi spoke. "This is my essay. On freedom and responsibility in modern American society." A sigh floated from the left side of the room. "You do realize there may be consequences." Naomi paused, nodded. "I do. Are you prepared for suspension?" She nodded again. "I didn't come here to behave. I came to record. And if I have to, I'll write down every step you take to erase our voices." No one replied. The assistant superintendent looked at the broken clock, as if time might offer him a way out of this room. Naomi turned to leave, stepped slow, unapologetic. At the door, a voice followed the principal's. "Do you understand what this might cost you?" Naomi didn't look back. "I hope it costs something." And the door closed, soft, but final. Not an exit, just a punctuation mark at the end of a sentence they could never edit. A week after the meeting, Naomi didn't come to school. No official announcement, no email, no posted notice. Just an empty chair day 1. No one said anything. Day 2, a few students glanced. By day 5, her absence sat in the room like a bruise everyone felt but couldn't name. Locker 217 Naomi's remained untouched, unopened, unclaimed. But on Friday morning, someone had taped a small paper to the door. A familiar symbol, open circle, slashed line, disconnected dot. Translated. "I'm here, even if no one sees me. Emma walked by. Her fingers brushed the paper's edge. She didn't remove it, she just stood still. A teacher came near, spotted it, hesitated. Emma said quietly, "I'll take responsibility," then kept walking. That afternoon, in the cafeteria, students didn't sit in their usual groups. No orders were given. No signs were posted. But there was a shift, like groundwater changing course beneath everyone's feet. A white student took off his jacket, revealing a t-shirt printed faintly with symbols. No one should have to survive alone. A black student opened his laptop, changed his Zoom avatar to a photo of Naomi's red cipher notebook. No one commented, but everyone saw. In the library, behind the American fiction shelf, someone left a journal. No name, just one sentence on the first page. "I don't know who Naomi is, but I see myself in her symbols." The next day, another line appeared beneath. "I learned how to stay quiet. Now I'm learning how to write." Day after that, "I used to laugh to survive. Now I write to exist." The journal wasn't owned by anyone, but it belonged to everyone. Week 3, Naomi returned. No standing ovation, no applause, no flowers, no welcome back. Just a moment quiet enough to let her know they'd heard. Her old seat was waiting. She sat, said nothing, opened her notebook. A classmate slid her a folded note. She unfolded it. A cipher, translated. "We go on, without needing permission." Naomi wrote back, "It's no longer mine to carry." Later that day, a new announcement appeared on the school bulletin board. Next week, students may submit essays in creative form, including cipher, illustration, poetry, or personalized design. Signed, Mr. Holloway. No one explained what changed. No one needed to. Everyone understood Naomi hadn't shaken the school by force. She simply refused to disappear, and in doing so, made others see where they were standing. Up on the top floor of the library, the shared journal kept growing. No final page, just entry after entry, breathing lines, quiet declarations. That week's last symbol, an open circle, unclosed. Not because the writer forgot, but because the story wasn't meant to end. A story doesn't need to be loud to live. It just needs not to be erased from the gradebook, the hallway, or the way we teach kids to disappear quietly. If you ever walk the halls of Grayford High on a regular morning, you'll hear footsteps, lockers closing, bells ringing. But if you really listen, beneath the paper scraps, beneath the unspoken nods and unfinished symbols, you might hear her, still writing. And that's how you know she was never gone. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Every click helps us bring more powerful stories of empathy, justice, and silent strength to life. Your support is what fuels this journey. Let's keep standing together and rising higher. One story at a time. Stay safe and inspired.